Badram karnebi shrnuyama devaha Badram pashyemakshabiryajatraha Stirairangaihi tushtuvagam sastanubhihi Yashema devahitam yadayuhu Svastina indro vardhashravaha Svastina pusha vishwavedaha Svastina starkshyo arishtanemihi Svastino brahaspatir dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Final part of verse 7. Prapancha upashamam shantam shivam advaitam chaturtham manyante saha atma saha vijneyaha. It is free from the world of all phenomena. It is unchanging, auspicious, non-dual. This is the Atma, and that has to be understood. Okay, so firstly is prapancha upashamam. The word prapancha, another word for it is jagat, or anything that you can see, touch, smell, taste in the universe. So nothing is outside prapancha. The Big Bang, every element, every sensation, thought is prapancha. And then it says the word upashamam. So who are you? What are you? You're free from that world, from prapancha. You're the one who is free from the world of phenomena. Now the word upashamam can also mean resolved. So suppose I say to you, the whole world is resolved in you. Do we mean like the self is some kind of a container and the world is inside the self? Like how, a can of, like beans are inside a can. Like this, the world, the prapancha is inside you. You hear this language, don't you? The world is in me. That's an error. It's provisional. It's a good thing to say. The world is appearing in me. But that too, you have to let go of, as we will, as we proceed to the forward chapters. So when it says the world is resolved in you, think of it like water. And then you have haze, snow, rain, bubble, drop, wave, ocean. What else? That's water. Ice. Come on, that was easy. And on top of ice, now you can create multiple ice structures. And you may like a house made of ice, and I don't like your house. I like my house made of ice. I'm going to destroy your house because you're my neighbor. I'm jealous. Got a castle. So it gets complex. Not only do you have different forms of water, some of them which you need. I need water for cooking, but I don't need ice. I don't care about ice. I will never spend my money on ice. But how much are you going to spend when you're thirsty? On water. It's so funny. It's one water, and yet I discard water in the form of ice, but I keep water in the form of water. And then rain falls, and then there's joy. It's just water. I drink water every day. It doesn't give me joy. Does anyone get joy? Drinking water. But then snow comes, and the kids are happy. It's still water. Now when it says resolved, the whole world is resolved in the self. It's like saying the ice, the rain, haze, snow, the waterfall, vapor, new ideas. Breeze, no, not breeze, that's the wind. Anything else? Flood? Flood, that's a good one. Clouds. I love this. Clouds, drought, planet.
Yeah, it's not only the world, it's the universe.
No, just like a body of water. Like river, stream, a well. Yeah.
It's unique snow crystal.
Snow crystals. Hey, look at this. How many names? Huh?
Juice from orange. Some water.
How many names? Steam, have we said? Huh?
Liquid.
Mist? Wow. Mist, fog. So all of them induce different emotions, different discussions. Some of them are more functional than the others, but they're all water. So it's funny, isn't it? From one came so many names and forms. So when it says resolved, the prapancha is resolved in itself, it's like the relationship between all of those names and the water. It's a cognitive understanding. So if I say to you, how do you resolve the world in Atma? Resolve the world in Atma for me. How do you do that? Think of resolving the ice in the water. Are you actually destroying the ice? Are you touching the mist, the cloud? You're leaving them alone. What are you doing when I say resolve the ice in the water for me? According to the verse. Cognitively, I understand, though the water is all throughout the ice, the water for the time being is as though taking the form of vapor, cloud, river, drizzle, rain. It's as though taking the form. It's all water. So when I say the world, prapancha, is resolved in you, what I'm really saying is understand the relationship between you and the world, between that which is constant, unchanging, ever present, ever true, self-evident, and what is coming and going, what becomes evident to the one who is self-evident. Satya Mithya relationship. Okay? So again, the world has resolved or is resolved in you. What goes in your mind?
The world arises out of me.
And this me immediately, and does the word, when you say the world, did that in that moment when you said it, did that include your body and the person who said that?
No, in that moment not, but when you said it, I thought,
Oh yeah.
it's not this me.
Yeah, sure. So when we say the world, prapancha, do not exclude your body and your mind and the person who said that statement. You know that 10th man story? There are 10 men, and the 10th man represents the whole. It's like getting a slice. It's like getting a pizza. You got Uber Eats here? Yeah? And you order a pizza, and there's a slice missing. It's so funny. It's just a slice missing, but it becomes the most disturbing thing, right? You can't have the whole pizza now. Just one slice. So now that 10th man is like the whole pizza, right? As long as that 10th man is missing, no matter what, you can console me, you can give me all the therapy in the world, I am disturbed. I can't be at peace. Until someone else comes over and says, you know, the man you've been looking for happens to be you. The 10th represents the whole. The whole was not the whole for you, even though you were never apart from the whole. From your standpoint, you were as though apart from the whole. So someone else says, you are that very 10th man. And then the 10th man comes to know that which is I am. It's a very unique story. See, a microbiologist doesn't become the microbe when they come to know about the microbes. The historian doesn't become history when he learns about history. But the 10th man's story is unique. The knower becomes the known. The knower of the missing 10th man becomes the known. That which is to be known, which is the 10th man. That's why we say in the scriptures, the knower of Brahman becomes Brahman. Because I was excluding myself from the whole. And so from my standpoint, even though I was already the whole, from my standpoint, it seemed like I was not the whole. And by that virtue, I was bothered and couldn't get a break. And that caused me to seek and seek. So when I come to know that which is to be known is none other than myself, there's nothing else to know. As we said before, you cannot know anything, and yet you can know everything. Isn't that cool? Saves you a lot of time. You cannot know anything, and you can know about everything. How? You come to see the underlying substance that makes up all things. I don't have to know about haze, rain, mist, river, bubble, wave, ocean. Oh, how does the ocean work? Let's study the ocean for 5 years. How does mist work? Another 5 years. How does snow work? Another 5 years. I just have to know one thing. Water, water, water. 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 Everything's water. At once, knowing one thing, which is not a thing because everything is it, so it's not a separate thing. Knowing one thing, you at once come to know everything at once, without having to know the details. So it's possible to know about everything without knowing about anything. That's the secret to freedom. Without that, there's no freedom. You'll be bothered by endless more names. Shantam. What else is self? It's peaceful, it's unchanging. Can you give the attribute of peace? Because in the last session we said the self is attributeless. Can you give peace, which is an attribute, to the self? Because it says here peaceful. So suppose you read the word shantam. It is peaceful. Shanti, peace. What do you make of this? I am peace.
Because it's unchangeable.
Hmm?
Because the self is unchangeable.
Is unchangeable. So knowing that it's unchangeable, knowing that there's no second thing to threaten me, there's no second thing to judge me, there's no second being to open 5 doors and says, you're going through the first door, buddy. There's no other thing out there to compromise my existence. There's nothing in existence that can reduce me. From that, you understand, wow, there's truly nothing out there that can damage, that can hurt me, that can make me feel unsafe, that can remove my sense of unity from the universe. Nothing can send me anywhere. Nothing has the authority to send me to some place. Nothing can take away my existence. Nothing can take away my freedom. That knowledge gives you peace. Otherwise, we're not talking about awareness being peaceful. Then the person tries to feel peaceful all the time. And that's probably 1% from the entire day. So where does the peace come from? It does not come from an emotion, even though the knowledge produces the emotion of peace. That's the great irony of it. That's why sometimes you can say, but you have to follow up. You can say the wise person is in peace. Wisdom, enlightenment is peace. But then you have to immediately follow that up and say, I did not mean that your nature is peace. What I meant was knowing that there's no second thing to threaten you. That's knowledge. Through that knowledge alone, it becomes as good as peace. Because you're at peace. There's no God out there that's going to judge me and say you've been a bad boy, a bad girl. Now you're going to heaven or hell. Shivam, auspicious. You can also say free from sorrow or lack. Shivam, auspicious. Okay. What is most auspicious to you? The most of the most auspicious. There's nothing more auspicious than that. What is it? The most auspicious. It's not going to be your child. It's not going to be your health either. What is even more auspicious than the health of your arm? It would sound selfish if you say me, right? But in Vedanta, we didn't mean ahamkara me. We meant that which you are, your very existence. Nobody wants to disappear or go suddenly have their privileges revoked. My existence privileges are revoked. My passport's taken away. You're no longer allowed to exist. You will live in eternal darkness, eternal void. That's scary. And yet, as we said before, Shantam, there's no second thing apart from you. So it produces a sense of Shantam, peace, and Shivam, that which is most auspicious. I'm not a needy person. I'm not an insecure person. I'm not an incomplete person. I'm not a person that's been insignificant. All these things nobody wants. I am auspicious, most auspicious. Advaitam, non-dual. Okay, question for you. How do you arrive, in quotes, how do you arrive to non-duality? That's why I put it in quotes. How do you come to non-duality? How does non-duality become true for you? Because it's always true, but how is it true for you?
By knowledge.
By knowledge. Please expand upon that.
To know that I am the one, not John.
Okay.
But the one is my real nature.
Okay, let me make clear. Anyone else wants to contribute? How do you, quote, arrive to non-duality? I put quotes for the lack of a better word, because it's language at the end of the day. Yes, at the back?
By not entering duality.
By not?
Entering duality.
Hold that thought.
By discriminating what is coming and going from that which is always present.
We need to refine this a little bit. Non-duality means there's no second. So where's the question of discriminating? So far what we've said is we're still at the level of this versus that, self versus not self. Okay? That's why chapter 4 is going to be a little bit tough, because what you're going to hear is there's nothing other than you here. And that's a little bit, right, sometimes too much. Because so far in all the Upanishads you've been hearing Satyamitya. But even Satyamitya is provisional. So once again, how do you come to non-duality? How do you come to an understanding that all that is here is one? For now, in this verse, do you have to break the table to come to the wood? Do you have to break the pot to come to the clay? Do you have to break the ice to come to the water? Do you have to break the rain or the vapor to come to the water? Do you have to destroy the ornament to come to the gold? No. Why not? Because of your cognitive understanding, wherever there is an ornament, a ring or a necklace or a bangle, that's exactly where the truth is. The truth is never away from the effect. We said the effect is never away from the cause, and the cause is never away from the effect. Wherever there is mithya, that's exactly where I will find satyam. Satyam is not parked away. Non-duality is not parked away somewhere deep inside a form. Wherever there is a form, that form itself is none other than non-duality.
Yeah, so to see it instead of to be it.
The realization.
Relaxation? What?
Realization.
Realization, yeah. So the realization just takes place through the contemplation, ongoing contemplation. See, this is the provisional step in the class of listening when you go home and so on. But it's a process, and that's okay. We all have to go through that process.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
So for a clay pot, to know that the clay pot is not real, you need to understand what it is made of.
I did not say clay pot is not real. I said the pot is not absolutely real. the clay as a much greater reality than the pot.
So you need to know the underlying substance, right?
Yeah.
So you need to have that awareness of the underlying substance.
Super.
Yeah. Then only you can remove that.
Then, excellent. So what you're saying is only when I'm given the pramana, only then, though it was all non-duality, like this pot, there's no two things here. You understand? There's not iron and clay, gold and silver. It's just clay. Until I have the pramana, I will keep on looking, pot is one thing, plate is another thing, suppose it's a plate, and then this is another thing. It's all just so many things. Until I'm told about the substance, which they all resolve into, which is the clay, only then I can look at anything in this world and understand non-duality is right here, right now. That's an understanding. It's not an experience. So it's like, look at it. Here's why it's not an experience. Okay. So you've been seeing the pot. Look at the pot, please. Pot, yes? Cool. Everyone, this is clay. You agree? Okay. Has your experience changed of the object? Not at all. What has changed? Your understanding, knowledge of an object. It's like me saying, hey, you know what? The sun that you're thinking that's rising and setting is not rising and setting. It's the earth. Does your experience change tomorrow once you know that the sun is not rising and setting? It's exactly the same. So non-duality doesn't mean that experience changes. It just means I continue to experience things as before, just my understanding of what's going on is different. Like yesterday we spoke about, if I don't have Ishvara in my life, then all these realms and all these states are very fascinating and mystical. But if I understand no matter where and what I see, what I experience, what I feel, all there is here is the Lord as intelligence. What is there mysterious to see? What is there interesting? What is there so-called interesting to see? Is this going to be more of intelligence in the future? You see how the shift changes? Before, I wanted to explore the universe. I wanted to go to places because there are so many greater worlds out there and we have yet to discover them. And we're just here as small beings, and we're like far behind. But if I understand that wherever I find is Ishvara, and Ishvara is right here, right now, then even if I'm at that place, it's as good as here. If I don't have the pramana, the world becomes fascinating. For me, prapancha becomes one big source of joy and pleasure, because that's all I've got. So all that changes is shift in perspective. Before I didn't have the pramana, now I do. Experience remains exactly the same, and my fallback is, instead of forms after forms after forms, where is my fallback? In that which is through and through the forms. This is the understanding. Therefore, does Advaita contradict Dvaita? Does non-duality contradict duality? Let me put it like this. Does the table and the chair contradict the wood?
No.
When I say contradict, does it negate the wood? No. So does the world negate Advaita? Does the world of duality negate Advaita? No. Because wherever there is the world, that's exactly where Ishvara is. You understand? Chaturtham manyante, it's regarded as the fourth. See, if Atma was a fourth, then it would come and go like all the other three states. So it cannot be the fourth like the other three. What it means by fourth is, suppose you're playing 3 movies on the screen. One of them is very stable. Another movie is kind of like Disney movie, lots of weird things going on. And the third movie is just like blackness there. Now the fourth is that screen upon which the 3 take place. So in that sense, the fourth. The fourth because of which the 3 movies are known. Or you can say 20 movies, 20 states, or however many states. Thereby, it is the fourth in that sense, not as something that comes and goes like the other 3. Okay. So far, we have spoken of from verse 1 to 6, and we said Om, another name for Om. Remember verse 1, we said all that is here is Om. And then we said in, was it verse 6? Was it 6? I think it's verse 6, Ishvara. Now it said Om is Ishvara. Now we said the final truth of all things is Ishvara, the organizing principle. Now in verse 7, what we're saying is, even that organizing principle, which is of the nature of all knowledge and all power, why is it all knowledge and all power? Can someone explain? Why is Ishvara all knowledge and all power? Tell me first, why is it all knowledge? Why is it all, not limited knowledge, all knowledge?
Because it can manifest in everything.
Manifest is everything, okay. And why is it all power?
It's the only thing that's there.
Hmm?
It's the only thing that is really here.
Okay. All knowledge, all power.
Because we see everything.
Yeah. Take the potter. The potter needs knowledge of the pot. But the potter needs the initiative to take that knowledge and put it inside the pot. Yeah? That initiative, that power, is when we say all knowledge, all power. Right? So the all knowledge to create all things in the universe and to know how they all interact and come together and what purpose they will all have in the universe. That means all knowledge, but also all power. That means the power to put together the atom, put together the galaxy, the moon, the sun, your limbs, insects, fish, everything. All knowledge, all power. And we said all knowledge, all power is the final cause of the universe. Now we're saying even all knowledge, all power is mithya. Remember how we said it's satyam? Now even that is mithya, depending upon consciousness, while consciousness is independent of knowledge and power. Pause. Prove it to me. Right? Can't just make a statement. So what do we say about all that is here? Knowledge and power. So if I take a little bit of knowledge and power, like your mind, that's knowledge and power. Can you be without your mind? Can you be without, when I say mind, I'm talking about a thought. Can you be without a thought? You experience that every moment. A thought goes. If you can be without one thought, you can be without another thought. Because if you were as good as a thought, then when the thought goes away, you would go away. So if you can be without thoughts, like taking a break or sitting on a hammock or meditation or samadhi or sleep, that thought is a little bit of knowledge, of that total knowledge. Now, what's the difference between a little bit of knowledge and total knowledge? What's the difference? It's still knowledge. So if knowledge can manifest and unmanifest, if a little bit of knowledge can manifest and unmanifest, then all knowledge also manifests and unmanifests constantly in a form of planets, explodes, changes into something else, manifests tomorrow. Where's tomorrow? Is tomorrow here? Because today was tomorrow from the standpoint of yesterday. And if I ask the same question from yesterday, where's tomorrow? You would have said, it's not here. You would have said that yesterday. But tomorrow is now here. It's manifest. So now where is tomorrow? Is tomorrow here? It's in potential. That means when tomorrow comes, so tomorrow is not here, and what's going to be there tomorrow? Other than knowledge and power. So knowledge and power is unmanifest. Tomorrow that knowledge and power will become manifest, and this knowledge and power, this waking state, will become unmanifest. but what will be not subject to manifest and unmanifest? Atma. The presence because of which today's organization is known, and the presence because of which tomorrow's all knowledge and all power organization will be known. Therefore, even knowledge and power depends on its adhishtanam, its substratum. And that substratum is known to you right now as I am, which is self-evident. Thus, the Om is complete. And another important question is this. A little bit more analysis. What's the difference between Ishvara and Brahman? Between all knowledge and power and consciousness. So far, what did I say? What's the difference? One of them manifests and unmanifests, and consciousness does not manifest and unmanifest. Okay. Another important distinction, and why are we performing this distinction? So that you have clarity of what is what. We're not negating anything, we're just coming to see reality that you are confronted by every day, and we need to perform an analysis. What is it that's being experienced in this moment? So we have Ishvara. And we say Ishvara is Parinami. Upadana Karanam. Parinami Upadana Karanam. An example that we use is milk and yogurt. Once you convert, or milk and cheese, I'll say, once you take and make from milk, you make cheese, can you find milk inside cheese? Can I actually extract, press the cheese and its milk comes out? No. So there's a certain change that underwent. The milk underwent a change and it converted itself into cheese. Even though cheese is the milk, isn't it? It comes from the milk. But I cannot find the milk anymore. Even though the cheese is not different from the milk, in essence. So now, if I look at a wall, for example, will I find a molecule or an atom that says all knowledge, all power inside? No. So when we say parinami upadana karanam, this means material cause. What kind of material cause? One that is constantly shaping and shifting to obtain as the very world that you're experiencing now. If I look at this pot, I can only see pot, atoms, molecules, clay, etc. I will never find knowledge and power in here. You can look as much as you want. You will not find some special intelligence, some subtle intelligence floating around. So when it says Ishvara is parinami upadana karanam, it says that where is Ishvara? Because it is the material cause of everything. But where will I find that material cause? I'm not going to find it as any one individual particle. I will find it in the very world that I'm experiencing right now. The very sounds that you're hearing right now is Upadana Karanam, is Ishvara in the form of sounds. So where will I find Ishvara? Everywhere. Look, don't look up. Look everywhere. Look around you. Look below you. Everywhere. Will I find knowledge and power? Individually? No. What will I find? I will find forms. So how do I then come to knowledge and power? I have to perform an analysis. And that's what we've done in verse 1. Whereas Brahman or Atman, remember verse 2? We use both words. Both of them are consciousness. Is also Upadana Karanam. Upadana. So it's also material cause, but it's Vivarta. Vivarta means as though changing. As though. So take for example, there's no proper example for this. You can only use it for awareness. Take for example water and ice and haze or mist and vapor. wherever you see the vapor and you analyze vapor, that's exactly where I'll find H2O. I analyze a bubble, I'll find H2O. I analyze ice, I find H2O. So I will always find original H2O everywhere. It's clear. There's no doubt about it. Now, how do you prove that awareness is vivarta upadana karanam? Because I made a claim that it's still original. The consciousness 20 trillion, billion, quintillion years ago is the exact same consciousness as now. It has not changed at all. That's a claim that I'm making, but we have to prove that right now. How do we do that? How do we prove that before the Big Bang, before the universe came, if you want to take the Big Bang theory, it doesn't really matter, but suppose we take it for some visualization. How do I prove that before the universe came, which arose out of consciousness, how do I prove that this consciousness right now is the exact same consciousness as before the universe came?
Because it is unchangeable.
Super, very simple. Unchanging. Okay, but that's still a claim. I can still challenge you. Okay, prove it that it's unchangeable.
If it would take attributes, it cannot mirror other attributes. So it is.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so instead it's attributeless. Okay, look at this. If it took on one single attribute, then could you be relating to consciousness in this moment? If it took on an attribute, like some, now it's, red. No, I'm not consciousness, I'm red. And I say to you, you are consciousness. You are that in the presence of whom experiences come and go. You're unchanging. Would you be relating to me if it's no longer unchanging? If it took on an attribute? Could you relate to me? So if consciousness took one single attribute, then how could you ever use the Shastra? Because the Shastra would be useless. The Shastra is talking about unchanging consciousness, and I'm supposed to go, suppose it's changed. No, consciousness, I'm not consciousness, I don't have this thing that illumines my thoughts. No, I don't have this. I don't relate to this at all. If your consciousness changed, you would not be related to or relating to the Shastra, you could not relate to the teaching, and you would not experience a constantly fresh moment. Because if you had one single attribute, that attribute would be coloring your entire experience. If, for instance, suppose 20 million years ago, red became an attribute of consciousness, red, then what would you still be seeing today? You will be seeing red. You'll be experiencing red, or whatever it is, peace. Or suppose someone goes in the other's love, right? Love. Or someone says, oh yeah, it's hurt, suffering. Are you experiencing suffering every single second of your life? What about in deep sleep? You experience suffering? No. If you took on suffering, if consciousness took on suffering, suffering will be true every second, even during joy. In that case, joy could not be possible, but we all have moments of joy or happiness. Neither could it take on happiness. Because if it took on happiness, then you could never have or experience suffering. So the fact that every attribute is possible in the presence of that one which makes that attribute evident shows me that that self-evident I must be free of the attributes which are illumined in my presence. I'll simplify that. The fact that all attributes are known I must be free of those attributes. If the I, physical I, had an attribute of green, sight had an attribute of green, then wherever I look, when I look at yellow, I would see green. When I look at blue, I would see green. But the fact that the eye has no attributes like color, for that very reason, color can be seen. So the difference between Ishvara and consciousness, why did I show this? To show you that though one order of reality, you cannot find Ishvara, you have to look at the form. That's how you find Ishvara, by looking at the form and doing a Satya-Mithya relationship. And then you take that final Satyam, and then you say even that final Satyam depends on something else. So that too becomes Mithya. And therefore the final is that which never comes and goes. Because what are we trying to find here? That which is always true. What is the definition of absolutely real? It is true in the past, present, and future. It never changes. It always obtains exactly as it is, without undergoing any change whatsoever, and you can never not find it. It's always findable.
Describing Brahman, or we are calling Brahman as Sat and Chit. Yeah? Sat is existence, which is isness. Yeah? So it's also an attribute.
No, because that's why I said we tyagad away a existence within a place. Like existence, I did not say Brahman existence like an object. I said it's the existence of all things, including time and space. Think about the difference between if I say flower exists. Now when I say to you flower exists, what do I mean by that? Flower exists.
It appears in this object and form.
Like flower exists. Just flower exists. That's what I mean. But can I say, if I say Brahman exists, am I pointing like that? Brahman exists?
No, but so whatever is known to me is in existence. Whatever is not known to me is also in existence.
Yeah.
Right? Known and unknown.
Of course.
Have got isness.
Of course, they're both, whether my eyes are looking at something or not looking at something, it doesn't matter that I'm not looking at China. China exists.
Yeah, so, but then, doesn't that become an attribute?
It does not become an attribute because we're not speaking of existence that is localized to one place. We're speaking of existence which is the truth of all attributes. It's not one particular attributes. It is that which exists at all times, at all places. We're not isolating it. It only becomes an attribute if it's different from something else. Because the word attribute, what does the word attribute mean? It's different. It's comparable to something else. But you cannot compare is to is. Huh? I can't compare flower to pot, but I cannot compare the fact that flower exists, is borrowing existence, and pot is borrowing existence. So think of existence as the substance, like clay, the substance. The consciousness is the substance that makes up these forms. For example, in a dream, your dream is amazing, and it's complex, and it's convincing, isn't it? And anything that you point in your dream, you say mountain exists, lion exists, subject exists. So all of those forms are changing for sure. But why do you say exists? Because they all depend upon you, one being from which arises the entire dream world. On what does the mountain depend upon? Me, the existent one. What does the lion depend upon? Me, the existent one. What does the harmonium depend upon in the dream? Me, the existent one. That's why when you wake up, all things instantly vanish. So all of those things were depending upon what? My presence. So all of those existences were none other than whose existence? My existence. I was in the mountain, I was in the lion, I was in the subject. And my power made it such that it made me seem like I'm a mountain, made it seem like I'm a harmonium, made it seem like I'm a lion. But through an analysis, all of them depended upon one being, who is of the nature of existence, from which all objects borrow, and of the nature of awareness. Now, there's an interesting doubt. Now, someone from an opposing school says, okay, so if the self has no attributes, has no features, has no characteristics, there's nothing that you can use to point to it, then how is this teaching useful? How is it supposed to then help me? Because all my life I've always dealt with, if there's a problem, you get an object and it solves it for you. But if self is not an object, and it's not any kind of something that you can gain or something that you can lose, then how is this going to help me?
There's no problem.
Which me?
One, Petra?
There's no problem.
There's no problem.
There is no point.
There's no problem. Good.
Yeah, depends which me. If you mean the jiva me,
Yeah,
then
brilliant,
it
brilliant.
doesn't help.
In fact, just to pose the objection implies that the person hasn't heard the whole teaching. Now, the opponent answers, well, what happens is actually, it's not useless, because it ends your thirst for anatma. It ends your thirst for prapancha. You're constantly looking prapancha for new things out there, looking for something better. It's like you're walking on a beach and you see silver everywhere. Silver, silver, silver. But if you walk over, it's just a shell. A shell, shell. And then you're chasing the shell, or you're chasing for you, from your standpoint, it's the silver. And you're just wasting all your energy. But when I discover, if it shines, it's not silver, it's a shell. The next day I wake up and I go to the beach and I see something that's shining. Do I run? No. Because of my knowledge telling me, though it looks like silver, something that's precious, I stay put. So, like Petra said, there's no problems. I reduce my desires. Now they are in reference to what needs to be done, rather than a million different things that I'm constantly chasing, thinking the value is over there. So it's a huge difference. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.